Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, a game that I remember very fondly from 10 years ago, and I still think it holds up to this very day. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 is a game where I got my first Platinum trophy on, and I am so happy to be talking about this game because it is so cool and it brings back so much nostalgia. While Xenoverse 2 improves on many things that Xenoverse 1 did not have, but overall, Xenoverse 1 still has a lot to offer. This game, along with Mortal Kombat X and Godzilla for the PS4, were three of my favorite games to play during the summer of 2015, and was the year where I got more into online gaming. So yeah, Xenoverse 1 and those two other games helped me appreciate gaming a lot more, and I'll be talking about a lot of detail about Xenoverse 1. But the big plot about this game is that there are changes in history. Villains are getting stronger, many changes are happening, heroes are dying, and the only one who could stop them is you, the player, by creating your own character. Trunks uses the Dragon Balls to wish for a strong ally, and that ally is actually you, the player, again. Without further ado, let's get on with the review. My name is the Toa Prime Zilla, and this is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 10 years later. Now, let's go! When you start the game, you're given the option to pick between 5 different races with 2 different genders for 3 of them. I'll talk more about the details for each of the races later on, but you start out with only 1. After you beat the game's main story, you will create more characters. And I can understand why this was done. They didn't want to overload it, but then in Xenoverse 2, they just kind of get rid of that so you can create more characters right off the bat. But overall, the combat is also a little button mashing depending on which race you picked. So yeah, gameplay wise, it's pretty much your typical button mashing, key blasting Dragon Ball game. You'll see more of that during the review, but overall, the choices were pretty cool at the time for this game. And once you log into which character, you'll be heading into the lobby. The lobby in Xenoverse 1 is, well, a lot smaller than the one in Xenoverse 2. It has 3 sections. One for mainly online battles and parallel quests, one for all the shops and whatnot, one for the tournaments, which haven't happened in a long time since people play Xenoverse 2 nowadays, and of course Shenron and story missions. And of course, when you enter into the time vault or time nest. And of course, like I said, it's a little smaller, but it's still pretty fun and enjoyable. There's like different shops where you can buy outfits for your character, accessories, items to help you in battle, skills, a whole lot. Also, you can meet other players and do emotes. Emotes are just like you can do poses from the show, like the Ginyu Force poses or anything else. And it's fun to see people interact while doing emotes. I think it's the coolest thing in the game, and I'm glad they carried it over to the sequel game with a lot more emotes to do. There's also the chat function where you can just say random little chat messages like, hello, thank you, nice outfit you got there. It's kind of fun and a little silly to interact with, but of course it becomes a little obsolete when you can just talk to people on the mic. But it's still a little fun. And of course, one of my personal favorites is that you can send gifts to other players and they can send you gifts back. And you can have them as a recipient to like send gifts back to, or like anytime you want to meet with them again. But you can only send out level 2 or 1 items. So anything above those you can't send, unfortunately. I can understand why. They didn't want you to cheat the system in some way. You can also have some players be on your team to help you on parallel quests or just fight online as well. And by fighting people online, you get to know how they play as well. Sometimes they'll beat you so hard because they put all their points into a certain category. Yep. So yeah, they'll have high attack or whatnot, so you'll be screwed. But there's endless battles and, of course, just regular online fighting. Endless battle means like you can just fight endlessly without any restraint, unless you just want to quit, of course. And you can watch other people fight as well. Also, what this game has is a very limited offline mode offline battle mode, I should say, because you can only fight the CPU. There's no training mode whatsoever. So if you wanted to practice your skills or whatnot, you can't. So you only have to fight the CPU, which is stupid, because that's the most important thing about any fighting game, is to have a training mode, so that way you can practice, especially if you want to fight people online. And plus, when you do battles with teams on both offline and online, it can only be 3-on-3. It can't go any higher than that. Sometimes I wish it could be 6-on-6, because in parallel quests and story mode missions, you could have more allies and more enemies too. So that's why I think it should be increased. It was fixed a bit in Xenoverse 2 for like the raids and expert missions, but that's about it. But I still think it should be increased. And like I said before about combat in this game, it's mostly button mashing and key blasting. And the AI in this game can be very difficult sometimes. Yeah. That's why it was fixed in Xenoverse 2. I'll talk more about Xenoverse 2 whenever I get the chance. But still though, this game had a lot to offer still back in the day, but the AI, not so much. It was very hardcore. Also, if you die or any of your allies die, you can revive them, or your allies can revive you, or your other fallen allies. Same thing for the CPU when it comes to versus matches, but never for quests, which is a good thing. But yeah. And also, despite the fact you can create 8 different characters, you can only have one of your created characters in the lobby and for matches. So you can't pick any of your other characters to switch between, or have them as teammates as well, which was later fixed in Xenoverse 2, of course. Of course, with any game that lets you create your own character, lets you create it in a certain way. So like, if you want to mix and match outfits in this game, you can. But however, it will affect your stats. Yeah. Equipment will affect your stats drastically. It'll decrease or increase. And accessories don't do anything. They're just there for show. They don't really do anything. But if you're okay with a certain mix and match of whatever outfits you like, you can do that. Or however you want to, like, have one whole outfit, that's up to you. There's also skills. You can unlock skills through parallel quests or through your mentor training, and you can use them for anything. You can have your skills set to a certain degree. However, one thing I always have to nitpick about this game and the sequel is the fact that charging is a skill. I don't think charging should be a skill. I think that should just be something that's in the game. Also, you can increase your stats to however you like, but however, there's only a limit of 300 skill points. And that's sad though, because you can only have it set to one way. If you want to build up a certain build, you have to put all your stats into one, and I think that's sad. And if you want to, you can always make sure to mix and match your clothes to increase your stats as well, or decrease them. That's up to you. And of course, there's items that you need to put into your slots to use in battle. I don't even know why that's even an option to customize. Also, there are lots of different outfits for each character, and each outfit can differ between genders, and there's also outfits exclusive between each races as well. I think it's a cool way to show that you can have customizations for each character and exclusive outfits for each character as well that you create. It's a smart way of thinking. Also, you can create presets for each outfit you want whenever you go on a quest or whatever. Same thing with skills, because it helps you keep it separate in case you want to have certain skills with certain outfits, One of the game's biggest features besides story mode is parallel quests. In these quests, you can unlock skills and items or equipment for your characters to use. So yeah, it's pretty fun and all, but sometimes they get harder and harder as you progress. There'll sometimes be quests you have to do solo at first, and they can be relatively hard unless your level is super high and you have the right skills. Also, during parallel quests, you'll get signs that say new enemy, which means you'll fight more AI opponents, or new supporter, which means you'll have a new ally to help back you up. Also, in this game, you can do quests that let you just collect Dragon Balls and bring them back to the time machine, and that's pretty much it. Also, in order for you to get like skills or items you want, you need to play through the parallel quests, the same ones over and over again till you get all 4 pieces of the clothing and then the accessory you want and the skill you want. And it takes a while. And plus, you need to get like an ultimate finish, and sometimes the requirements are a little easy to do. You just gotta be under a certain time limit, or make sure some characters you have as your teammates in the parallel quests don't die or anything. But sometimes, even if you fulfill the requirements, it won't automatically give you the ultimate finish. You'll know you'll get the ultimate finish when there's like a yellow warning sign telling you you're about to do the ultimate finish. Yeah, it gets a little hard. But yeah, you'll get used to it. Sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it won't. This was fixed in Xenoverse 2, of course. Also, there are times where if you defeat a character before someone else, so say like you defeat Goku or Piccolo before Gohan during a Cell Games parallel quest, it will automatically trigger. Also, you can get Dragon Balls from certain parallel quests and whatnot by fighting a time patroller. Sometimes they'll randomly pop up, sometimes they won't. But if you beat them, you'll know that you got a Dragon Ball when it says key item. And speaking of Dragon Balls, once you get all the Dragon Balls, you can summon Shenron. You'll have the option of 10 different wishes. 4 of them can only be used like at least once, which are like wish for new super skills or new ultimate skills and new characters and a level up. So yeah, those can only be used once. Others, which will let you redesign your character or rearrange your stats or just get some new items, and you can get a lot of them all the time or just more money. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Dragon Ball wishing. Another thing this game has is the mentor system, in which you can train under any character from the original Dragon Ball story. Some of these mentors range between Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, Android 18, Hercule, Cell, Frieza, just anybody from the original Dragon Ball Z storyline. You can find the mentors anywhere in the lobby, but they pop up at random. So if you want a specific mentor, you gotta enter the character select screen over and over again until you get the mentor you want. So if you're done with your previous mentor and you want to go train on a new one, but if there's a specific one you want to train under, you gotta keep entering in the character select screen over and over again. Also, when you train under a mentor, you can learn their moves and stuff. You can even beat them with their own moves in their own lessons, even just to get the new moves. Also, you have to raise their friendship meter up to do the next lesson. The fastest way to do this is to either talk to them or go to parallel quests with them. So if you go to, like, say, any parallel quest, you pick your character and then you pick your mentor character, say like Goku, you pick 2 Gokus to go with you on a quest. It will raise your friendship meter even faster by doing this. There's also DLC mentors, such as Tien, Yamcha, Pan, Jocko, and the Elder Kai. Elder Kai's mentor training is a lot different than the other mentors because you don't technically fight him, you just do some random stuff or fight NPCs. And if you get your character's level up to 93, he can do the dance that will give you the potential unlock that Gohan has when he fought against Super Buu. And this mentor training can only be done once. So yeah. Which is really sad because I enjoyed seeing that. But by doing that, you also get his dance move as an emote. And I remember back in the day, a lot of people were always using that emote. So yeah, mentor training is pretty cool in this game. So if you get a Z rank in any quest, they'll leave a funny comment too.
What? What a monster! You've reached a level any Saiyan would dream of! Splendid! Now this is a true fight! I would totally hug you if that's something I did. I can't believe it! This is astounding!
Jeez, how strong do you have to get before you're satisfied, huh?
You are quite something! OMG!
Also, depending on who is your current mentor, whenever you use their signature move, you'll get a Z boost, and not only that, you'll get a spirit of them helping you do the attack. The Z boost will do additional damage, of course. And the spirit, I like to think of it as an idea that no matter where you are or what you do, your mentor will always be there for you in spirit. Kind of wish this was carried over into the second game. I may be wrong, maybe it is, I had to double check, but for now, I like to think that this was a very cool concept, and I like to see more of this in future games as well. So, races. As you know, there are 5 different races, with 3 of them having 2 different genders. Saiyans being the main one that have low health but high attack, and their power raises when their health is low. There is a difference between the genders. Males have stronger melee attacks and buffs last longer, but super moves aren't as strong. Females can use Z assists more frequently. They have better ki and stamina recovery, but lower health. But overall, Saiyans were the best choice to pick for anybody playing the game at first. Mostly because people wanted to play as a female Saiyan for the first time. Also, you can go Super Saiyan, but your ki drains, and you can use infinite ultimate attacks as much as you like. But you just gotta be careful and recharge your ki every so often, so that way you can stay at your best potential no matter what. Because when your ki runs out, you're back to being your regular Saiyan form, and your stamina is completely gone. So it's best that you always charge, no matter what, in the course of any battle, so that way you can win. Also, Earthlings are the best common known playable characters in the game. They have balanced stats for both offense and defense, ki refills automatically, and attack rises when maxed. Males have stronger strike super attacks, and females have stronger ki blast super attacks. So these guys are pretty much the more balanced option if you want to start off playing Xenoverse 1. Also, unlock potential goes well with these guys, just because it works. Because your ki can refill automatically while in this state, so it helps in the long run. Pretty much nothing more to say other than that these guys just are the better option. I find nothing wrong with them. While I still prefer playing as Saiyan for obvious reasons, I still think that best choice for Xenoverse overall is to go with an Earthling and just hope for the best. Yeah. Nothing much I could say. Earthlings are the more balanced option for this game. So, yeah. The next race is Majins. They have high defense but slow stamina recovery, defense bonus when stamina is maxed, and their stats differ by gender. Males have more health but lower movement speed. Melee, supers, and ultimates aren't as strong. Females have higher movement speed, stronger melee, supers, ultimates, but lower health. So Majins are not exactly the most played race in the game, just because, for obvious reasons, but they're actually pretty fun. Their limbs can stretch out a lot, and they can just be fun overall. Female Majins were probably the go-to to play in Xenoverse, just because, you know, it's a female Majin. You're literally playing as a female Boo. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that back in the day, just because. Even nowadays in Xenoverse 2, you don't see a lot of people playing female Majins anymore. Probably because they don't get anything new added onto them. But overall, Majins are pretty much the best, oh, I wouldn't say the best choice, but overall the more fun choice in the game. So yeah, if you want to just have some little silly fun, go with Majins. The Namekians are the least played race, mostly because they have high health and stamina refills quickly, but they have low attack. Their items are more effective than other races, and health can regenerate when low. But overall, these guys aren't exactly the toughest of races, just because, you know, they're not really good in combat. But if you want to play as them just because you like Piccolo and whatnot, go ahead, but overall, it's not recommended for the long run. I would say just go with, like, Earthlings or Saiyans or something. But there's another race. The Frieza race has fast speed, but low attack, but they can paralyze enemies with Ki Blast. They also get a speed bonus when their health is low. And these guys were probably the most fun to play as, just because, you know, everyone loves Frieza. and you can create your own Frieza character just for fun. I saw a lot of these guys back in the day, and I gotta say, they're still fun to play as, even to this day. Even in Xenoverse 2, they're still fun. So yeah, Frieza's race is awesome, and I recommend these guys be one of your top choices to play as. Of course, the game still has plenty of other characters for its roster. Granted, though, that there are lots of characters missing that were added in later in Xenoverse 2, but overall, the roster wasn't too bad. It had a bit of an all-star cast, that you might say, but overall, I thought the idea of having not that many characters was pretty neat and simple. Kind of like, deviated from past games and whatnot. But yeah, but I do agree that more characters were definitely needed. And of course, you could still play as these other characters if you want to, but since you can create your own character, they feel kind of pointless overall. But in the end, though, they're still fun and enjoyable. It's nice having them be on the roster no matter what, and even in the second game, with a lot more of them now, it's still easy to go for. Yeah. But I do agree that a lot of them should have been added into the game, besides just a lot of their clothings being in there. Like, we still got a bunch of clothing for characters that aren't in the game, but overall, we shouldn't have to complain that we still got at least a good amount of characters, basically the more iconic ones from each saga and whatnot. But yeah, I'd say Xenoverse 1 still has a pretty decent sized roster, and they're still fun. One big issue about this game I have is the fact that they have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta as a pre-order bonus with the Golden and Crystal Saiyan armor. Now, I can understand that pre-order bonuses are a extra incentive to get the game early, but there's no reason to put a character behind a non-existent paywall, because why? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it'd make more sense if it was just the Golden and Crystal Saiyan armors. I can live with that, but why Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta? It's like, put this character behind this non-existent paywall, and there is no way to get him unless you can find an unused code somewhere and you have to pay an arm and a leg for it. I managed to find a copy, but at the same time, why did they do this? I mean, like, they fixed this in Xenoverse 2 with Goku Black, but why didn't they just do it for Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta? They could just, I don't know, put a couple extra bucks on it so that way people who pre-ordered the game don't feel like they got ripped off or anything. And that way they're still making money at the same time. And the Golden and Crystal Saiyan armors are actually pretty neat and actually pretty good to show off when you're in the lobby. But I do wish, though, that they just made these available to download. There's no reason whatsoever to keep these behind a non-existent paywall and keep them as pre-order bonuses for life. I mean, eventually there's going to come a time where they're going to have to release these for like people who want to start out playing the first Xenoverse game, but who knows? But still, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta should not have been a pre-order bonus whatsoever. The story starts off with us playing as Goku and his epic battles throughout the three main sagas of Dragon Ball Z. We start off fighting against Frieza, then off against Cell, then against Kid Buu. And at the end of each of these, they each get an evil power-up, which is foreshadowing something very, very bad. And this proves that history is starting to change, because each shard breaks in this cutscene, indicating that something worse is about to happen. And so we have to do something. And the introduction to the game plays again, but this time Trunks actually says something. He's actually saying to Shenron that he wishes for a strong ally to help fix the changes in time. We are then brought into Toki Toki City, wandering around, looking around, and whatnot. Then we see Shenron, and then he leaves, of course. And then Trunks shows up and decides to train us, so that way we can figure out how to fight in this game. Then after that, we become a new recruit to the Time Patrol. And then we have to help Trunks fight the changes in history. But first, he has to take us to the Time Nest, of course. You are then brought to the Time Nest, of course. And then you're shown around in the Time Vault. And the first change you'll see begins here. This is where it begins. Piccolo uses the special beam cannon on Raditz, except this time, he breaks out of Goku's grip, and then decides to kill Piccolo. And we're shown this is because Raditz got an evil power-up somehow. We are then sent to correct the change in history, and Trunks will talk to us through the radio, letting us know what we can do to fix the change. We are then sent back earlier before Piccolo uses his special beam cannon to the point where Gohan broke out of the pod and is charging at Raditz. But however, Raditz gets his evil power-up pretty early on. So he will dodge Gohan and then try to kill him. But we're able to rescue him just in the nick of time. And we must team up with Goku and Piccolo to defeat Raditz. After defeating Raditz, Piccolo will use his special beam cannon to kill him and Goku, like how it's meant to be. And nothing was changed at all. We then go forward to the Saiyan invasion story, where we see all the Z Warriors have been defeated by evil powered up Cybermen. And then Goku arrives too late and is already greeted by Vegeta and Nappa in their Grade 8 forms, which will quickly overpower Goku. We are then sent to correct the change by helping Tien and Yamcha fight off the powered up evil Cybermen, while Nappa and Vegeta just watch. And as the fight goes on, we fight different colored Cybermen, which I think is a callback to Budokai 2. And once all the Cybermen are dead, you have to face Nappa now, who also gets an evil power-up. And as the fight goes on, each of the Z Warriors dies, including Piccolo, who, as we all know, dies protecting Gohan from Nappa's attack. Then Goku will arrive, but instead of fighting Nappa, he will fight Vegeta. And we will continue to fight Nappa instead. And once Nappa's dead, Vegeta will do his iconic beam struggle with Goku, and we all know how this ends up, but I gotta say though, the way it's done in the game is actually pretty good. I'm surprised how well the developers pulled it off in this game. Next, Vegeta will come back and create an artificial moon, and as we all know, this turns him into a Grade 8. And this is the first time we actually get to fight a giant boss throughout the entire game, but we do fight more in parallel quests and stuff, but this is the first time we actually fight a giant boss. Gohan and Krillin will then join the fight, as we all know. And since Yajirobe isn't in this game, Krillin actually gets to cut off Vegeta's tail this time. Wow. He gets a win, and all that's left to do is just defeat Vegeta. And then after that, Krillin tries to finish him off, but we get in the way as to not disrupt history as well. And then of course, Goku will tell Krillin that he wants to fight Vegeta again. We then get a 2D animated cutscene introducing us to the Supreme Kai of Time. And while Trunks is talking about her, she does little silly stuff in the background. Next, we're in the Ginyu saga, and Gohan and Krillin have been defeated by the Ginyu Force, and Vegeta is with them, but in actuality, it's...
Ginyu! Yeah! We are the Ginyu Force!
Now, Ginyu is inside Vegeta's body, and Goku is fighting the Ginyu Force. When he gets caught off guard, however, Ginyu decides to switch bodies with Goku, and for some reason, somehow that teleports the Scouter. And of course, Ginyu has an evil power-up, and Goku in Vegeta's body is no match for them, and somehow Ginyu knows the Kamehameha! Ah, boy. This is a funny change, which leads to a funny scene later.
What? Father? Father is Ginyu! No, I mean, Ginyu is father? Sorry, but I need you to deal with my father.
And so we arrive moments before this whole thing happened, and everything plays out, and Ginyu gets an evil power-up as well. And so now we have to fight off the Ginyu Force, and Vegeta for some reason gets an evil power-up, so this is probably why Ginyu switched bodies with Vegeta to begin with. And another change that happens is that Goldo goes back to the ship, with the Dragon Balls instead of Ginyu, which causes an even bigger change. Now Gohan and Krillin join the fight, and Raccoon does as well, so now you gotta fight off against Ginyu, Raccoon together. Which seems like an ultimate tag team match, if you think about it. And now, Raccoon tries to do his special move, only to be beaten by Goku in a cheap shot. Next, Bird and Jace join Ginyu, and you have to fight them together. And now, this leads to the funniest change ever. As you're fighting off against Jace, Ginyu tries to do the usual body switch technique. But, however, things don't go as planned, for a simple reason. That's right, you switch bodies with Ginyu, and he has your body for a couple of quests, and this is funny in so many ways when you think about it. Next, you go to the ship to help Gohan and Krillin, and Goku prevents Ginyu from chasing you. Next, you go to Frieza's ship, you run around in Ginyu's body, and then you run into Gohan and Krillin with the Dragon Balls. But of course, they don't see you as the ally that joined them in the fight, because you're in Ginyu's body. And this leads to one of the hardest quests in the game. So early on, you gotta fight 20 Frieza soldiers without Gohan and Krillin dying. And the only way you can beat this quest is being at a very high level. So yeah, Goldo will join in as well, but after you lower his health to a certain amount, he will flee and run away, of course. Which shows how cowardly Goldo really is. Next, you're outside with the Dragon Balls, and then Ginyu shows up in your body again, and this is the only time you see your character talking, despite it not being you. And then Goku joins in, of course. And then Ginyu tries to switch bodies with Goku this time, only for us to get in the way and get our body back. And what a relief that would be for anybody. But then, of course, Ginyu still wants Goku's body, so Goldo uses his powers to freeze Goku in place. And this explains why Goldo's a part of the Ginyu Force. So he can have Ginyu switch bodies with people if they're too fast of a target. And somehow, Ginyu still has that Scouter magically appearing. And since Jace is technically dead, Goldo has to fight Vegeta instead. And now, everything goes back to the way it is. Ginyu tries to switch bodies with Vegeta. Goku takes the blast this time, and getting his body back in the process. Ginyu still wants Vegeta's body, so he tries it again, and then we all know what happens next. Goku decides to throw a frog, and now Ginyu becomes a frog man and a frog person. Yeah, this scene never gets old. And then you notice something. We are then introduced to the villains of this game, Toa and Mira. Toa being the younger sister of Deborah, and Mira being Toa's creation. We next cut back to the Frieza saga, and the next big change is that the Z-Warriors have been taken down except Gohan, who's on his last legs. As Frieza is about to finish off Gohan, Goku has to leave the healing tank early. And by doing so, he's not strong enough to fight against Frieza. And then you go back even further before that change to deal with Frieza. And as you lower his health, another cutscene will show up, and this time, instead of going to his second form, he goes straight into his final form. And this is a big change, of course. And as usual, Vegeta still dies during the Frieza saga. Then, of course, Goku will show up like usual to fight Frieza in his final form. And then you gotta protect Goku as he charges up the Spirit Bomb. And like usual, Goku will throw the Spirit Bomb at Frieza, which we all know won't work. And then later, you get grabbed by Frieza, who then shoots Piccolo. You're then seen being choked to death by Frieza, who then just tosses you for no reason. And of course, we can't have a Frieza Saga cutscene without Goku going Super Saiyan. And I gotta say, this was actually really well done for the game. It honestly looks very impressive for the time back then. And so now, Super Saiyan Goku will fight off against Frieza, and of course, you'll be joining the battle. And Trunks will say that the history is correct up to this point. You just gotta defeat Frieza. And like usual, Frieza throws a bomb into the planet. Next, you're on the dying Namek fighting against Frieza at full power. Next, of course, Purunga is revived, and of course, this is the only time you see Purunga in the game, and Goku tells you he can handle the rest from here. The Supreme Kai of Time tries to wonder if there's someone else pulling the strings, but she tries to brush it off like it might not happen. Then, of course, we get a glimpse of our next villain. The next, we're in the Cell Saga by skipping a majority of the Android Saga. And we start with Gohan, not at Super Saiyan 2, doing the beam struggle with Cell, and the Z Warriors have been defeated by the Cell Juniors. Goku feels ashamed of himself that things weren't playing out the way he thought, and we find out that Hercule got an evil power-up. And so Cell wins by the aid of his Cell Juniors and the Dark power-up. This results in Gohan being killed in the beam struggle as well. We go back to the very beginning of the Cell games, where Hercule is fighting Cell, and right before he kills him, we kick him out of the ring. We're awesome. That's right. Next, Hercule has been knocked out of the ring by Cell officially, but then Toa uses her magic and gives Hercule an evil power-up. Hercule rejoins the Cell games, and of course, Goku is about to fight Cell, and you gotta make sure Hercule does not fight Cell or Goku. And then usual, Cell destroys his arena. The fight between Cell and Goku still goes on, of course. But Cell gets an evil power-up, and Hercule is still filled with that evilness as well. And once you beat Hercule, the evilness out of him finally leaves his body, and he's back to normal. Weak. Next, Cell has his Cell Juniors, and they're all filled with evil power-ups as well. Then, Toa uses her magic to give Gohan the extra boost to go Super Saiyan 2 without Android 16 dying. Well, because he's not in this game, of course. Next, you confront Toa Mira a second time, but you're not going to be fighting them alone. You have Trunks on your side this time, and this is actually the first time he actually joins in the fight. Then, Toa decides to screw with us again by depowering Gohan. And now Gohan is weak and in Super Saiyan 1 and can't fight off against Cell, who is now super perfect. Now you have to fight off against Cell and make sure Gohan defeats him properly. And then, of course, we get the father-son Kamehameha and Cell being destroyed once and for all. And I gotta say, this was not bad. This is actually a really good animated scene, and I like how Cell disintegrates in this. And then after that, Gohan powers down to Super Saiyan 1, and then to being his base form, which is not even in the game. So next we cut to the Android Future Saga, as I like to call it. The next change here is that Android 18 and 17 have gotten the evil power-up and easily overpowered Trunks. And then, for some reason, Imperfect Cell is here, despite not being a playable character. And this change is causing Trunks to fade out of existence. What's going on? And we have to go back in time in order to make sure the change doesn't happen. And this mission was a bitch to beat. Yeah, because you gotta make sure Trunks does not die, and it was difficult back then. So after dealing with the android, Toa shows up and tells you that she made another change. And what change this is a mystery, so the only way you can get the idea of what she changed is to beat it out of her. But before you could, Mira gets in the way, and the two decide to run off. Then, the mysterious figure from the Frieza saga tells you he can take you to the second change. Next, Trunks returns from the future, and you're there. Then he runs up to you, and then it turns out that the second change was because Cell is now in his perfect form. And this won't look good. And just like before, you have to make sure Trunks doesn't die, and this can be hard if you're not very high level. You then say your goodbyes to Trunks, and telling him that you'll see him again someday.
That's not cryptic.
And then the Supreme Kai is wondering who's actually pulling the string. We then go into the Buu saga, where Goku is about to fight Majin Buu, but what change here is that while Goku's fighting Buu, he splits into 3. Then Toa and Mira show up to change their change, I guess, but also steal Goku and Buu's energy. And so we are sent to intercept them and fight Mira one last time. We then get another cutscene after defeating Mira, where we use a big Kamehameha attack, and then Mira is completely destroyed, and Toa runs away. We then go to help Goku fight against the multiple Majin Buus. And then once all 3 Buus are down, we fight smaller Buus. And we got to defeat a certain number of them and make sure that we don't die and whatnot. And once all the smaller Buus are down, Buu wants to fight us, but then we leave and he gets relatively pissed. We then return to the time nest and we have a magic bomb on us. And the Supreme Kai of Time stops it. Well, actually, no, contains it before it could cause major damage. And we find out that the stranger that helped us in Trunks' timeline is actually Demon God Demigra, the main villain of this game, and was defeated by the Supreme Kai of Time millions of years ago. He wants to take over the Time Nest and become the next Supreme Kai of Time, or just become the ruler of time itself. And we have to stop him no matter what. And now, since Demigra is the main villain of the game, he's causing changes now. The first change he does is possess Piccolo and have him attack Goten and Trunks, so they're not strong enough to do fusion. He then changes the fight between Gohan and Super Buu to the point where Super Buu actually destroys the planet instead of his Kid Buu form. And this is a major change as well. We are then told by the Supreme Kai of Time that the only way to fix the Piccolo situation is to hit him really, really hard. And of course, this is just a little funny scene as well. We are then sent to fix the change, and this is also the first time we fight Demigra. And this is actually pretty nice too, because it gives us an idea of how powerful Demigra is before we fight him for the final fight. And then after that, Piccolo's back to himself after we hit him in the head really hard. Then Super Buu arrives on the lookout, and we all know what's going to happen next, of course. Then, during the course of the fight, Goten and Trunks fuse into Gotenks, and the animation for the fusion dance is actually really well done. I give him props for everything in this game, of course. Then later we fight Super Buu in the desert, and then as the fight goes on, Gohan will join us in his ultimate form. And it looks good. And as the fight goes on, Super Buu somehow gets angrier, but then instead of trying to absorb Gotenks, Piccolo, or Gohan, he just reverts into Kid Buu. And this means that Vegito doesn't show up in the story at all. And so Gohan fights Kid Buu while recycling the animation that was used for the corrupted timeline cutscene we saw earlier. Kid Buu now destroys the Earth. And Gohan is actually supposed to be stronger than Kid Buu in this scene, so he should actually stop Kid Buu. But of course, history has to remain the same no matter what. We are now on the world of the Kais, and Goku and Vegeta, who are there, who did not do Vegito, have to fight Super Buu now, along with us. And Goku has to use the Spirit Bomb, and then we have to protect him. Then, of course, Goku is fully charged and ready to use the Spirit Bomb. He throws it, of course, and then Kid Buu is strong enough to hold on to it. And we actually help Goku for a change. Nice. And of course, Hercule announces that he defeated Majin Buu. Everyone cheers his name and whatnot. And Videl cringes at the idea that her father's taking credit for something he did not do. He then says everyone did a good job, including us, but we disappear before he can even thank us. We are then back in the time vault where we believe that Demigra has given up, but then he shows up, and then he teleports himself to a specific timeline. A timeline that even the Supreme Kai of Time worries about. And what timeline is that?
No! That's horrible! He went to that time period?
Huh? Was that a dangerous era or something?
Ignorance sure is bliss, isn't it? How about I explain it to you? It's the time period when Beerus, the freaking god of destruction, went to Earth!
The god of destruction, Beerus. Is he that powerful?
Lord Beerus!
That's right, we're in the Battle of Gods timeline. Nice. And as we all know, why does Beerus freak out? It's because he doesn't get his pudding. And so, Beerus hears that Boo has pudding, and he goes up to him to demand at least just one pudding cup. And we all know this leads to an argument. Except Boo doesn't try licking it all or eating it all at once this time. They're just arguing about who should give up. And then Vegeta just takes one and just brings it to Beerus as, you know, as a way to make sure he doesn't get all angry. But then something happens.
Ah, thank you. Now then,
The ball that Goten and Trunks were playing with somehow came to life and hit Beerus' pudding cup. And this leads to a very funny, quiet scene.
You idiots! Lord Beerus! Now I'm mad!
And so we then fight Beerus, and our list of allies rotates. And so, yeah, we just gotta fight him, and then Vegeta gets all mad because he hit Bulma and whatnot, doing his My Bulma thing. He'll show up and explain how a Super Saiyan God is made. We then get a cutscene of Goku going Super Saiyan God. And I gotta say, Super Saiyan God was kind of like the hype of this game for a bit, just because Goku being in this form is just all-time peak back then. We then cut to the cave fight, and then we see that Beerus is getting possessed a bit, but he rubs it off, of course. We then cut to the Earth's atmosphere, where Beerus explains to Goku why his god power wore off, but then Beerus goes all possessed villain mode, and Goku tries to stop him, but passes out, and Whis catches him. And then Demigra shows up and explains how he was able to control Beerus and use his power against us. But then we get a twist.
Impossible!
by the way, I knew you were there. You see, my friend, I faked being hit by you. Trying to control me? That's blasphemous.
Amazing, Lord Beerus! The tables have turned!
Demigra, was it? I guess I'll just destroy you instead.
That's right. Beerus joins us for our second fight with Demigra. And I gotta say, that is actually pretty cool. We then try to do an attack on Demigra to try and get rid of him, but it was actually just another one of his illusions, of course. And Beerus wonders what's going on. But then he does something else. We then arrive back at the time nest, but this time, however, Beerus and Whis are with us, of course. Beerus says he wants to help us deal with Demigra because he made a fool of him, but the Supreme Kai of Time tries talking him out of it, and then Whis suggests that Beerus helps train us and Trunks so that way we can deal with Demigra. We then train with Beerus and Whis, with Trunks as our partner, but this fight, it gets really hard because you need to be at an extremely high level and survive, of course. Because Beerus and Whis are two of the strongest characters in the game. So, yeah, you need to have the right skills, right equipment attached, and make sure your stats are boosted a certain way, and just hope for the best. Yep. And once we beat them, they agree that we can take care of Demigra while they just do something else, of course. Well, Beerus just wants to nap and whatever. They wave their goodbyes, and then we get ready for the final battle. So now we are getting ready for the final battle against Demigra. And so we gotta get ready and be on our top game. But of course, the Supreme Kai of Time has a plan. She then gathers the Dragon Balls and then makes a wish. We then fight off against evil, corrupt versions of Frieza, Cell, and Kid Buu. Yep, this ain't looking good. Goku then comes to help us thanks to the Supreme Kai of Time making a wish. After we defeat those three, we then have to fight Gohan, Vegeta, and Gotenks, who have also been evilly corrupted. After we defeat everybody, Goku says we should head back to the Time Nest, while he uses the Namekian Dragon Balls to fix things. We then cut back to a 2D cutscene of Toki Toki City, showing that Demigra has finally broken free of his prison. And the first thing he does is decide to turn Toki Toki into a piece of candy and then eat him. We then try fighting Demigra for a third time, of course, and he's a bit tough around the edges. Later on, as the fight goes on, we see that Trunks has been fully corrupted as well, and we have to break him free. And after we break Trunks free of Demigra's control, he then tries to control us. But the Supreme Kai of Time quickly stops him before he can even get the chance to do so. Goku then shows up to help us, and it's revealed that the reason why Demigra cannot control Goku is because of his god power. We then think we defeat Demigra, but he gets back up and then teleports away. Goku then uses his instant transmission to take us and the Supreme Kai of Time and Trunks to where he is, so we can stop him. We then enter the Time Vault, where Demigra is planning to destroy everything so he can recreate history in his own image. We try to stop him along with Goku, but he pins us down, and we pass out too. We then wake up in a void where everything has been destroyed or erased. We wander around for a little bit, wondering where we're at and how can we get out, but then we find a scroll that shows us exactly what happened. And it's just the same cutscene again, but just from a different perspective, where it just shows Demigra creating a powerful blast attack is all. After watching the scroll, we then use its power to travel back in time to the exact moment the blast was unleashed. We then go back to when Demigra opened a portal to his dimension, or the crack of time, or whatever it's called. We then free Goku from his little prison, and we have to follow Demigra through the portal while Goku holds off the blast. We then follow Demigra to the crack of time, or dawn of time, whatever you want to call it. And he gets mad that we've made it so far, and so then he transforms into his final form, which is a big, monstrous, muscular form of himself. And this final boss fight isn't actually that bad. It's pretty fun when you think about it. It may be a bit difficult, but once you're at the right level, have the right skills, you'll know what to do. And depending how long you take to fight Demigra, Goku will join you in his Super Saiyan 3 form. And so it's now 2-on-1. And once you beat Demigra, he'll try in a final attempt to destroy you, but you and Goku team up again and use a very powerful Kamehameha blast to defeat him once and for all. And if you beat the game fast enough, you don't need Goku to assist you. But however, you'll get an alternate cutscene where you're the only one there blasting Demigra, and Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin will give you their energy to help you defeat Demigra once and for all. But after Demigra is defeated, the area around you starts to collapse. And then Toki Toki is restored, and then you and Goku are teleported back to the Time Nest. And then we see the Supreme Kai of Time healing Trunks in the Time Nest, but then we show up standing mighty and tall after defeating our enemy. But then Trunks asks us to be his partner going forward, so that way we can help keep up with the changes in history to make sure nothing bad happens. And the Supreme Kai of Time is happy about this. But however, Goku wants to give us a little fight. But we can't have that since we might destroy everything, and everything we did might become pointless.
We don't want that.
Oh, right! Whoopsie daisy!
We then get a post-credits scene of Time Patrollers in Toki Toki City. Beerus and Whis are happy that we defeated Demigra, but however, they want to test our skills. Not just ours, but every Time Patroller as well. Goku says goodbye to the Supreme Kai of Time, and he says he'll come back and help us again anytime. We then cut back to Toa picking up what is left of Mira, saying that they will come back and finish us, which is what leads them to become the villains of the second game, of course. We'll talk about that game some other time. Then we get another post-credits scene of us training Time Patrol candidates. And we go a bit overboard, of course. But however, this is not the end of the story yet, because there is post-story content and DLC! After collecting a certain amount of items, we then are cut to the Legendary Saga, in which we have to fix some wormholes that were created by Demigra before we defeated him. We are then sent to where Bardock had to protect Planet Vegeta from Frieza, and so Frieza's soldiers are all corrupted by the evil energy that Demigra uses. And so yeah, we have to protect Bardock from dying, and this mission can be very hard because you gotta kill a bunch of Frieza soldiers without him dying, of course, and you need the right skills and moves and whatnot. And later on, as the fight goes on, you fight Frieza, who fights Bardock personally, which never happened in the original story, and he also has an evil power-up. And as usual, once everything is done, Frieza will destroy Planet Vegeta regardless. But however, Bardock is pulled through a wormhole, and the animation of Frieza laughing as he destroys Planet Vegeta is actually really well done, but I think the second game does it better. And afterwards, we return to the Time Vault, and we have to find where Bardock is and any other changes in history. And of course, there is a bunch of scrolls. And later on, Trunks finds a scroll that has a change in history in it. And this isn't Bardock, but something else. And the change is against Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, during the Second Coming movie, not the first. Gohan will later join us to fight against Broly. And then after we defeat Broly, he is pulled through a wormhole as well. Goten and Trunks wonder what happened, but they don't try to question it any further. We return to the Time Vault, and the Supreme Kai of Time tells us that we need to look through the scrolls to find where Bardock and Broly are. Trunks finds the scroll where Bardock and Broly are at, and we go to one of the craziest things. We are on the Dying Namek, and we see Broly with an evil power-up going up against Bardock. We are sent there to stop Broly from interfering with Goku's fight with Frieza. We are then teleported to Earth, and we have to defeat Broly once and for all. And during the fight, Vegeta shows up, and Bardock asks him to make an artificial moon. This then leads to Bardock becoming a Great Ape, so that way he can fight equally against Broly. And he becomes our teammate. And I wish this was a thing in the game as well, where you can have a Great Ape as your partner. But I can understand why this was never a thing and only in the story mode, but we can dream, right? Later on, Vegeta decides to join the fight, So that way, it's 3-on-1 against Broly. And after that, Broly is defeated, and he loses his evil power-up. Bardock changes back to normal, of course. And Trunks knocks out Vegeta before he can question what's going on. We then return to the Time Nest, where we have to remember to deal with any wormholes that pop up. And the Supreme Kai of Time fantasizes about Bardock being her boyfriend. However, we still got one more story to go through, and that's the GT Saga, which is all DLC. We start the DLC story off with us at the Time Vault, where another wormhole has opened up, and it's in the GT timeline. And we are sent to save Pan from a brainwashed Trunks, because he was infected by Baby's Tuffle cells. We then have to fight Baby in his Great Ape form, who has some evil power-up too. Goku shows up in Super Saiyan 4 to give us a hand. After that, Baby is then sucked up by a gigantic wormhole, but we're too late to stop it, of course. Before we leave to go back to the Time Nest, Goku says thank you for saving Pan. We then cut to the Super 17 story where Frieza's soldiers are destroying the city, and we have to stop them. And the good thing about this mission is that you don't have to worry about protecting someone, and you can fight off Frieza's soldiers no matter how many there are. And this leads to a very funny scene.
Haha, you're doing pretty good. Raccoon!
Butter! Joyce! Budo!
Nappa?
Yeah?
Neo Ginyu Force!
That's right, Nappa is the new leader of the Ginyu Force, or should I say, Neo Ginyu Force. It's actually pretty clever since Nappa was in GT, but only had a very, very short amount of screen time. But this is very clever. Then later on, Trunks comes and helps us. So that way we can deal with the Ginyu Force and Nappa properly. After they are defeated, Trunks is ambushed by the evil, powered-up Hell 17. And oh boy, this ain't good for a number of reasons. And then after the fight, Hell 17 leaves to join with his Earth counterpart, but we have to follow them so that way they can't fuse because Super 17 will become too powerful. However, we arrive too late and the two 17s merge into Super 17, and he's a lot more powerful than ever now. Goku arrives to help us like usual. He later goes Super Saiyan 4 to combat 17 as well. We're about to finish off Super 17, but then he gets sucked up by a wormhole, and Goku thanks us again for helping him, and he says he'll pay us back one day. We are then back at the Time Vault, wondering what our next move should be should another wormhole open up. The second half of the DLC GT story opens up, and we have to deal with the Shadow Dragons now. We start by fighting Nova Shenron, and then later on, we have to face off against Ice Shenron, who is attacking Pan. Now that they're defeated, we have to deal with Omega Shenron now. Before he can attack us, Vegeta shows up as a Super Saiyan 4. Later on, Goku will join us, and then Goku and Vegeta will fuse into Gogeta in Super Saiyan 4. That's right. The most powerful character in GT shows up to help us fight against Omega Shenron. And after he's down, another wormhole opens up and not only takes Omega Shenron, but takes us too. We are then teleported to the canyon area. This time, we have to deal with 3 big villains. Omega Shenron, Super 17, and of course, Great Ape Baby. Before the fight begins, however, we destroy the wormhole, making sure that they can't escape and that they have nowhere else to run except fight. And this fight is very hard too, because you're not only dealing with 2 powerful villains, but also a Great Ape. So yeah, you got a lot going on in this final fight. And Gogeta is your only ally. And if he's dead, you're all alone. So you better make sure you defeat each villain fast and quick. After the fight, Goku and Vegeta thank you for helping them, and that Vegeta will take care of the two that appeared out of the wormhole, which I am assuming he's talking about Toa and Mira, but they're nowhere seen in this story at all. Trunks then shows up saying he'll deal with them, and that he can no longer stand by on the sidelines anymore. We also get a touching moment with Trunks and Vegeta here, and it's actually very heartwarming when you think about it, since Vegeta does care for his son a lot, especially his future son, which shows how much he really has changed, especially in GT. And people say that GT sucks, well, Vegeta is still good in GT no matter what. We then return to the Time Nest, and the Supreme Kai Time reprimands Trunks a bit for his little action there. But nothing to worry about because she's gonna make us some food, and this is where the DLC story ends. And there's a bit of a funny twist.
Congrats! I prepared a present to reward you. It's a full-course meal of gourmet dishes. It's in this building here. Follow me.
You better prepare yourself, because this will be the most difficult quest yet. Supreme Kai of Time's cooking is... well, it's more destructive than any Shenron out there.
What's wrong? Come eat. You know, it isn't every day that you get to eat a god's cooking. You must be excited.
And that's where the story ends, unfortunately. Yep, and we don't know what that whole dark energy thing was, and it was never properly explained in the sequel either. So yeah, that's pretty much Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1. It's a game that I still think holds up to this very day, has a lot to offer, and well, it may not be as good as Xenoverse 2, but like I said before in the beginning of this video, this game has a lot of nostalgia. One of the many things I wish that carried over into Xenoverse 2 was the Toki Toki City theme and the character creation / select theme, which I really wish was an optional theme song in the Xenoverse 2 lobby, but who knows, maybe they'll add it in as an update or a DLC in the future, maybe one day. But overall, I do really miss the old school nostalgia feeling for Xenoverse 1, just because of how much the game had back in the day. A lot of people were really interactive in the game. Many emotes were done and whatnot. I'd still say overall, Xenoverse 1 still has a lot left in it. And sometimes you'll see people play the game. Xenoverse 2 has the Xenoverse 1 story as a DLC, but I recommend playing Xenoverse 1 to get the authentic feeling of it before playing Xenoverse 2. That's my recommendation, just because it feels better that way. And plus, you'll have your Xenoverse 1 character become an NPC in Xenoverse 2, so that's why I highly recommend playing Xenoverse 1 first before doing 2, just because it feels right to have your old character stand by your new character. And while they did do an update where Toki Toki City is an online waiting lobby, I do wish, though, that it was the whole thing, so that way you can get more of the authentic experience as well. But who knows, maybe they'll do an update where it'll be Xenoverse 1 theme. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? So that way people can get more of the authentic experience of Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2. And it could help out a lot as well. So 10 years later, this game still holds up to this very day, and it is the first game where I ever got a Platinum Trophy in. So yeah, this has been the Tall Primezilla, and I hope to see you guys again with more videos in the future. So, bye.